Hello. Good morning/afternoon, everyone. If you don't mind grabbing your seat, we'll go ahead and get the program started. I know everybody has a busy schedule, and we really appreciate you all being here. Got really quiet really quick. Hello, I'm Evan Freeman. I am Vice President of Government and Community Relations at EPB. I also serve on the Chattanooga Chamber Board, and I'd like to welcome you to this event to just reflect on such an exciting year that we had. I think this is the first in-person annual meeting we've had since COVID, so really excited to be back with everybody. First, I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Without them, none of this could be possible. Our presenting sponsors, Chambliss, Bahner Stophel, EPB. The platinum sponsor is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Our gold sponsors is Alliant Health Plans, Chattanooga Airport, Chattanooga Gas, Chattanooga Whiskey, First Horizon Bank, Food City, Grandview, Pinnacle Partners, PNC Construction, Opella, Truist, Unum, and Volkswagen of Chattanooga. Please give a round of applause for our sponsors. EPB is proud to be a sponsor today and be a sponsor and very involved with the Chattanooga Chamber because the Chamber really serves a very important role in our community, growing economic development and growing the business community. At EPB, one of our missions is to enhance the quality of life for our community. And 15 years ago, this month, we served our first fiber optic customer. And that led to us having the first gigabyte community-wide network in 2009. And then we've continued to invest in that technology. And today, we continue to have the world's fastest internet by having 25 gig community-wide service, which you're being served by 25 gigs today in this convention center. That same fiber optic network has led to us having the most advanced smart electric network, which has reduced outages, saving our community $55 million every year. That same network has led to $2.7 billion in economic impact over the last 10 years, and none of that could have been done without you and without your support in the community. At EPB, we continue to invest in our network and invest in technology, and we hope that over the next 15 years from now, when we're here, that we're leading the nation in quantum technology and leading the nation in energy innovation. But with that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, our sponsor, Chambliss, Bahner Stophel, and is represented today by Mark Cunningham. Mark?
Hey, how are you all doing? As Evan said, I'm Mark Cunningham. I'm a president, managing shareholder of Chambliss, Bahner Stophel. I'm really excited to be here. I think my mom would be proud. I'm a native Chattanoogan. You know, I was sort of born and raised. I don't think anybody that knew me as a kid would have expected me to be up in front of such a esteemed group of individuals and businesses. It's interesting that we're coming together here in person as I stepped into this role a week before COVID hit. It has been, for those of you that are in leadership or just been working in the last 5 years, it's been an interesting time, but it's been a time where at Chambliss, for example, we've really been able to discover who we are and what we are. You know, on the outside, we're a law firm that has been around and in this community for 140 years, but as I've worked with our team, and some of the first questions we established within ourselves is, we're about Chattanooga. We only have one office, and we had a lot of different discussions on who do we want to be? Do we want to go out? Do we want to be remote? What we came is we found we wanted to be together. We have the opportunity to work with a lot of the businesses that are represented in this room. We have the opportunity to also have a lot of friends that are in this room, whether we work with them or not. I think that one of the things we have found throughout this time and what we've learned with the Chamber is how closely we align and how much progress has occurred within this community that I grew up in. Chattanooga is not the same place and mostly for the better than it was whenever I was a child. I still think of, I didn't say I was from Chattanooga. I said I was from Signal Mountain. I never said I was from Chattanooga when I was a kid. Now I'm a proud Chattanoogan, and I think a lot of what has happened has been that collective effort that we've all put forward in business and community, and just a partnership. And I hope that that's how we feel when we are done, that the Chamber is a good partner and that we're good partners to it and to our community. So we appreciate at Chambliss the opportunity to sponsor this event and to be here with you and just to break bread and share time. It's certainly fun to be back together and to be in person. But with that, I want to welcome Gary Hathaway, who's the pastor at Greater Tucker Baptist Church in Brainerd, to the stage. Hopefully he can provide us a wonderful invocation for today. Thank you.
Let us pray. Father, we praise you today for who you are. We give thanks and glory to your name, for we realize that you make all things possible. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. It comes from you. So we thank you for this occasion. We thank you for the Chamber. Pray for its continued growth. Pray for its leadership, Charles and the staff, and all of the members that are represented here as well. We pray especially for our world, our nation, and our own community. Help us to be and do what you called us to, and pray for those who are less fortunate as well. We pray, again, continued blessings upon the individual businesses that are here. And then, Lord, help us to always remember what our purpose is, which is to do justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. In your name we pray, amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chattanooga Chamber Board Chair-elect, Mr. Brad Cobb.
Thank you. Short person up here. So as many of you know, Chattanooga is blessed with a history of collaborative leadership and public and private partnerships. These partnerships are crucial to the Chamber's work. So if you're an elected official, would you please stand so that we may recognize you for your vital role in this work? Please stand. So historically, we've asked the city and county mayors to speak briefly during our annual meetings. And while Mayor Kelly is a huge Chamber supporter and past board member, he unfortunately is traveling and will not be able to be with us today. Fortunately, Mayor Wamp, who has been a leader in two things that are critically important to our Chamber, education and entrepreneurship, is here, and I'd like to invite him up to the stage. Hamilton County Mayor Wamp is a former early-stage venture capitalist and the founder of a fiscal policy nonprofit. As a chief executive of Tennessee's fourth largest county, Wamp is responsible for more than $1 billion annual budget. He was appointed by Governor Bill Lee to serve on the Tennessee Board of Regents from 2019 to 2023, and he and his wife Shelby live on Signal Mountain with 5 young children ranging from 1 to 9. So not only does he have a busy schedule during the day, he's also very busy at night. And with that, I'd like to ask Mayor Wamp to say a few words. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be introduced by Brad Cobb, because Brad's one of the business leaders in our community who I hope is an elected official one day in our community. You can join me in pressuring Brad in that direction. The Chamber and the city and county have a long-standing partnership. I work with Charles and his team all the time. You know, this meeting convening back together in person, I felt like was an opportunity to share some of my most heartfelt thoughts about our community a couple years into doing this job. I grew up here, I grew up in Hickson. I've seen all sides of this great county in the last couple years, and for many of us in this room, I think this is the best of days. and I mean actually the best of days in the history of our city and county. But I'm brought to work every day by the reality that that's still not true for a whole lot of people who live in our community. And the drivers of almost all good in Chattanooga for generations have been y'all. It's been the people who employ others, who cast vision, who give back. And so while Charles and I often are talking about economic development, and this is framed at the back end of a much larger continuum that I want to speak to quickly, where we're trying to bring good things here and jobs here and investment here, I'd suggest to you that we've all, particularly those of you in leadership roles in this room, we've got a much broader responsibility, and it starts with our youngest citizens. Y'all have an opportunity as employers to leave this imprint on families through the way that you serve your young parents. So I would implore you, as we start in Hamilton County government, the Center for Thriving Families, to tether together resources for our youngest citizens, I would implore you to go the way of Southern Champion Trey or Kenco, who have been intentional in finding ways to give flexibility to young parents, extending maternal leave to parents, thinking about those families that come to work and make those great companies that are staples of this county successful. As you serve those people, here's what I believe happens. We then step into the next opportunity, where our youngest citizens become elementary school students and middle school students and high school students, where companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield are doing groundbreaking work to lift students up into careers. I'm going to be coming to see many of you in the next couple years to recruit your investment and active participation as we launch a new era in career and technical education in Chattanooga, because that is a profound responsibility we all share. But I would encourage you to study what J.D. Hickey and Blue Cross has done and find your company's lane in lifting students from all neighborhoods into great careers, because then the last part of this, and this is really the Chattanooga way, is that if we will be so bold as to equip young people, families first, and then young people with skills and a vision for their future, that leads to entrepreneurship. That's the American dream. That's been the Chattanooga dream of reinvestment, philanthropy, giving back, giving more to the community than you take out of the community. I think about the guys that I got started with in business at Access America. There are 45 founders of companies that came out of just that one company, because all of us who were around in those early days were not encouraged just to stay there and produce, but to go on out into the world and do other great things, whatever that looked like for us. And so it's this continuum where ultimately we build an awesome community of great companies are being started and grown here. And that's what so many of y'all represent. Legacy institutions that started with a spark of entrepreneurship. The chamber and the county are involved in that work on a daily basis. So thanks for what you mean to our community. But step in, I say this on Tim's behalf also, step into this bigger responsibility that's defined our city and county for generations and help us serve our youngest citizens, kids who are coming up through school looking for their way in life. And then let's go help those who are doing the job see themselves as the future leaders of our community. Thanks, y'all.
And now, please welcome Tennessee State Representative Patsy Hazelwood.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here with the Chamber. I've spent a lot of time with this organization over the span of my career, and it's great for us all to be back together today. I'm here today really on a sad mission, but I'm honored to be here to present a resolution that is in remembrance of our friend and our colleague and the employee of the Chamber, Sybil McLean Topel, who passed away during this past year. This is a resolution. It was passed by both, it's a joint resolution passed by both the House and the Senate. So it is now forever archived in the state of Tennessee records, and people will be able to go and find out a little bit about what Sybil did with her life and how she managed to change and improve the communities that she lived in. So without further ado, I'd just like to read this resolution. A resolution to honor the memory of Sybil McLean Topol of Chattanooga. Whereas the members of this General Assembly were greatly saddened to learn of the passing of Sybil McLean Topol, a dedicated professional of many talents and passions, and a loving wife and mother. And whereas, born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Sybil McLean was a military brat. His father, the late Max McLean, served in the U.S. Army. The family had lived in 7 states when Sybil began high school in Morristown. And whereas, during her tenure as a student at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Sybil McLean Topol spent 2 summers working in France. Speaking and learning about France became her passion. She later studied international relations in Geneva, Switzerland, through a Rotary Foundation scholarship. Whereas, after earning a degree in communication from UTK, she began her career in Nashville as a reporter and editor for United Press International and interviewed singer-songwriter. One of her highlights of that career, she interviewed Jimmy Buffett while working at UPI. Whereas, while living in Nashville for more than 20 years, Sybil McLean Topol worked as a consultant, providing training in communications and presentation skills for FedEx, AIG, Elaine, and several healthcare clients. And I first knew Sybil because she spent a significant amount of time working for the same company I did, Bell South. While she was in Nashville, I was here in Chattanooga. She later led branding and digital communications for Street Dixon Rick Architecture. And whereas, believing strongly in the value of moving communities forward through civic and professional leadership, she served as president of Cable, a Nashville-based business networking organization with more than 500 members, and the Nashville chapter of the Society of Marketing and Professional Services. Whereas, an active member of the Public Relations Society of America while living in Nashville, Mrs. McLean Topol served on its board of directors and volunteered with the Girl Scouts, Cheekwood, WPLN. Her leadership at AT&T in raising funds for the United Way resulted in a receipt of the Ingram Award. And whereas Sybil McLean met her future husband, Chris Topol, while traveling to Park City, Utah for a ski vacation. On the 3rd day of that trip, Chris came to Sybil's assistance after she was involved in a serious accident on the slopes. Thankfully, no bones were broken, and Sybil and Chris quickly became a couple after they discovered their shared love of travel and new adventures. Whereas a year later, after the skiing accident, Chris and Sybil were married at Second Presbyterian Church in Nashville, although they soon departed for Atlanta, Georgia, so that she could pursue a master's degree in writing, which she had always regarded as her calling. And whereas Sybil McLean Topol completed her Master of Fine Arts degree in writing at the Savannah College of Arts and Design in Atlanta in 2014, she was later awarded several writers' residencies in Clayton, Georgia by the Lillian E. Smith Center. And whereas Sybil McLean Topol and Chris Topol next moved to Chattanooga, where she wrote regularly for an international career blog based in Singapore, interviewing international executives from London, Hong Kong, Singapore, and St. Louis. Whereas Sybil McLean Topol then worked for more than 10 years as Vice President of Marketing and Engagement for the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce, where most of you in this room came to know her. She also served on the boards of Artsville, the Pop-Up Project, CoLab, and she was active in Rotary International. Whereas, renowned as a great listener, she found immense pleasure in helping her colleagues identify the skills they needed for advancement in their work, and she was a quiet but fierce advocate for equal pay. And whereas Sybil McLean Topol is survived by her husband of more than 12 years, Christopher Topol, her mother, Molly R. Vanoy, son, Alexander Douthit, his wife, Caroline, her brother, Bill McLean, dozens of cousins, aunts, and uncles, and whereas it is fitting that we memorialize this multi-talented individual who will be greatly missed by her family, her friends, and colleagues. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 113th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the Senate concurring, that we honor the memory of Sybil McLean Topol, reflecting fondly upon her many professional and civic accomplishments and her zest for living life to the fullest. To Sybil, who led a full life, a life well lived. And this is signed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Cameron Sexton, by the Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the Senate, Randy McNally, and by our Governor, Bill Lee. In honor of Sybil, a moment of silence. Thank you.
And now please welcome Chattanooga Chamber Vice Chair of Membership Development, Mr. Scott Hibberts.
First, thank you, Representative Hazelwood, for that tribute to Sybil. I thought it was beautiful and definitely a friend to all and very appropriate, so thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The Chamber's work would not be possible without the tireless effort of our volunteers. The Chamber's Ambassador Program consists of an elite group of professionals who are highly visible volunteers in the Chattanooga business community. Ambassadors assist in member retention, recruiting, and also mentoring new members. In addition, they assist with ribbon cuttings and different Chamber events. Each year, the Chamber recognizes an outstanding ambassador for going above and beyond. This year, the Chattanooga Chamber's Ambassador of the Year is Vaughn Berger. Vaughn embodies what it means to be an ambassador through his unwavering dedication to serving others. As a loyal Chamber volunteer for almost a decade, he has generously invested his time and advanced the Chamber's mission of supporting member businesses while promoting regional economic growth. Whether celebrating members at a ribbon-cutting event or personally checking in on members from day to day, Vaughn's commitment is evident. Vaughn has also mentored new ambassadors, teaching them the program standards and inspiring a commitment to quality and teamwork that enhances the program. This year in particular, he's played a crucial role in driving critical changes within the ambassador program while serving as its president. Vaughn, congratulations.
Wow, well, I don't know what to say. Thank you, Scott. It's not every day your general manager has to say nice things about you in front of a room of 1,000 people. So I appreciate that. I want to thank the Chamber for all the opportunities to network. If you're a business here that's not taking advantage of the networking opportunities, I would encourage you to. Networking is not about just how many transactions can I do or how many business cards can I pass out at an event. It's about building relationships, building friendships. It's about helping people. I'm a big believer in Zig Ziglar's statement that if you help enough people get what they want, eventually you'll get what you want. And so I'm not originally from Chattanooga, but this is a very embracing community. They love people and will accept you. And a lot of times I get asked by people who aren't from here and have moved here, how can I get involved? And I always tell them, you need to show up, volunteer, and do what you say you're going to do. And if you do that, this community will embrace you and will love you. And they've loved and accepted me. And so I appreciate it. Thank you to the Chamber, and thank you everyone for this award. I appreciate it.
Congratulations again, Vaughn. Next, the Chattanooga Chamber's councils. They're the backbone of the Chamber's volunteer presence in the community. The councils support businesses in very specific geographic areas and business sectors within the community, and they provide opportunities for members to solve problems, discuss issues, and support events and civic projects that benefit businesses, schools, and also within the council's footprint. These councils are critical to the Chamber's work, and this year, one council made tremendous strides to impact their community. This council organized a delivery of snack carts to 5 schools that are in their footprint. They also partnered with the Hamilton County School Foundation to create a care closet for students in a local school. The council also created a Chat with the Mayor's event, which raised $2,000 to help support other community endeavors that they're doing. Without programs like these and numerous others, this year's Chattanooga Chamber Council of the Year is the East Brainerd Council.
Wow, that's beautiful. Ooh. Turn. I told Ross that he probably needed to put a step stool up here for me, but I guess that didn't happen. That's okay, though. Wow, thank you guys so much for this wonderful honor. My name is Amber Fortenberry. I'm the past president of the East Brainerd Board. We had a lot of goals last year, but the two most important were supplying all of the schools in our footprint with an appreciation station filled with snacks, drinks, and gratitude. We also partnered with Hamilton County Schools Foundation to fund a care closet at East Brainerd Elementary School, stocked with new clothes, personal hygiene products, food, school supplies, and more for our families in need. We held interesting topical meetings like THC, CBD in the workplace. Our Coffee and Connections events roamed around the footprint, highlighting East Brainerd members. We mixed and mingled during third Thirsty Thursdays. Best of all, we hosted 3 fantastic special events. Our holiday party helped us raise funds for our care closet. We invited all of the councils to celebrate an outstanding year of hard work at a night at the Lookouts. And who could forget the event of the year, a chat with the mayors, when we welcomed Mayor Kelly and Mayor Wamp to an exceptional discussion led by our own Charles Wood. Thanks to that incredible event, our annual sponsor, Park Ridge Health Systems, our monthly sponsors, and individual donors, we fulfilled both of our goals. Each school has received an appreciation station, and the East Brainerd Elementary School will receive a care closet valued at $1,200. This will make a significant difference in the lives of our community children, and we couldn't be more proud. So my thanks goes out to our incredible board, our sponsors, our members, the chamber, all of the councils, and especially to Ross for being such a wonderful leader for all of the councils. I think you deserve a raise, Ross. Thank you so much.
Thank you, East Brainerd Council, for all that you do. We appreciate a wonderful year. Now it's my honor and privilege to get to introduce the President and CEO of the Chattanooga Chamber, Mr. Charles Wood.
They told me I could walk around, and so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time sharing a few things about the organization. It's as was mentioned earlier, it's been 5 years since we've been back in person, and it is great to have everybody back in person. And so excited to have that. I do want to say thanks to a few folks as I get started, and I think there'll be a few more who are thanked as we go. First and foremost, I want to thank my wife, Angie, who is here today and has supported me, particularly last year when I was trying to do 2 jobs at one time, plus be a husband, and that was a little tricky. And then I want to thank our team. The Chattanooga Chamber team has been phenomenal. And as I talk a little bit about some of the things that we've worked on over the last 5 years and where we're headed over the next 5 years, really none of that happens without a great team. And we've got some incredible folks that have really proven leadership skills and work as great partners. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but we've been around since 1887. We're 137 years old. And when I took this new position, I actually had a copy of a remake of our 1890 annual report, 1890. And you'll be surprised to know that 3 of the big topics in that report from well over 100 years ago were, 1, we needed to invest in our schools. Some things don't change. 2, that we needed to make sure that we were a strong community for our manufacturing base, and that had been really, really something that the community had been built on. You'll know the story of the Dynamo of Dixie. And the 3rd is we needed to be a welcoming community for people who were enterprising individuals, which really means entrepreneurs, right? And so those 3 things have not changed. And if you really dig into the DNA of our organization, the reality is that our purpose, right, at the center of our being as an organization, is to build a thriving Chattanooga. That's our purpose. And we do that really by executing our mission, which was talked about earlier. And the mission really has 2 components. The first is we have to champion our members, and that's you, right? That's the business community that's out there. And we do that in a couple of ways. The first is, of course, we want to make sure you have great visibility. We want to make sure that the community sees you, knows who you are. And the second is we want to make sure you're engaged. You're connected to each other. You're buying things from each other. You're connected to other businesses, and you're connected to the community. And then the third piece of this that really kind of, I think, benefits our members, but also is critical for the community, is promoting regional economic growth. So that's the second half of that mission. And really what that means is Chattanooga has to be a place that is a great place for companies to invest, and it has to be a great place for companies to hire people, to create jobs. And so if you think about what a new job means, right, first of all, there's no better path to creating a great future for a person than giving them a great job. And the second is, frankly, that once someone has a great job, it's not just that one person that benefits, it's a whole family. So as you guys are growing and as we work to grow the community, at the end of the day, that's the root effort for us with our mission, right? And so every time a new job is created, that person, whoever got that job, goes out and spends money. They buy a house, they buy a car, and they impact our economy. And so even if you might not realize it, when a new company shows up in Chattanooga or a company that's been here for 100 years creates a new job, the reality is that there are lots of businesses that benefit from that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about partnerships. I think that you guys know this, but none of the things we do happen without great partnerships. And Brad Cobb did a great job of kind of starting that conversation for us when he mentioned that. We work incredibly collaboratively with both mayors, both the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County officials. And we work incredibly collaboratively with our philanthropic community, with our partners in the business community and our education partners. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some things we've been able to achieve over the last 5 years and a little bit about where we're headed over the next 5 years with our strategic plan. I'm going to share 3 new partnerships that we think are going to have a great impact on the community. We think there'll be opportunities for us really to kind of push forward our mission. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. But I really want to make sure you hear the fact that everything I'm going to talk about that we've accomplished over the last 5 years, none of that is just the chamber. We're a small nonprofit. We have great support from you. But the reality is we need partners across the community to really be successful. And so when I talk about these things, you'll recognize how many different organizations, how many different individuals were involved. And so we've got 3 big partnerships we've been working on over the last few months, few weeks, few years. And the first one I'm going to talk about is with Brickyard. And for those of you that don't know, Brickyard is a venture incubator. It was founded by Cam Duty and Matt Patterson, who were the founders of Bellhop. And basically, they started as a small venture fund. They raised $5 million. They've now raised $20 million in their next round. The chamber entered into an MOU with them. The Chamber Foundation did, really to do 2 things. The first is to support them in their effort to recruit new founders, new teams to the yard, as they would call it. And so that those companies are required when they get an investment from Brickyard to spend at least 1 year in Chattanooga. So our first part of helping them is working with them to recruit those teams. The second is to make sure we're telling the story of those startups. Because if we can wrap our arms around them, if we can support them in Chattanooga, the goal then is to keep them here, right? To have venture-backed companies that are invested in Chattanooga, they feel part of the community, they stay and grow. And so I'll talk a little bit about the metric we've got. We have a number of goals and kind of metrics around each one of these partnerships. That's the first one I want to talk about. The second one is Chattanooga Regional Manufacturers Association. And for many of you, I think you know, we've worked alongside CRMA for more than 100 years. They were founded in 1902. And we signed an MOU just a couple weeks ago with Chattanooga Regional Manufacturers Association. And basically, the chamber will serve as an association management partner for CRMA. And so they have a great board. They're led by a guy named Bill Minahan, who's their current board chair with AdTech Ceramics. And so the way this structure will work is CRMA will stay a separate 501c6. They'll continue that work with their board of directors. And the chamber really will serve from an association management perspective. We'll provide staffing, and then we'll provide really back office support for that organization. And we're doing this for kind of 3 big reasons we think that there's alignment in. And the first is really around workforce development. Right? We know that our manufacturers need to have a great talent pipeline, and so that's certainly something we're aligned on. The second is public policy and making sure the state of Tennessee, as well as kind of the region as a whole, is really supportive for that industry. And the third is strengthening our manufacturing base. So today, if you want to write software code, you can go to ChatGPT and it can write it. But we still have to make things. And Chattanooga makes everything from over-the-counter Allegra and Atlases to zebra cakes. So the reality is that has never been more important than in a time where white-collar jobs can easily start to be filled by AI. And so we know our manufacturing base is going to be critically important. We think this partnership is a great opportunity to have two organizations that have been around for a very long time collaborating. And so we're excited about that partnership. Lulu Copeland's been leading it from a consulting perspective for the last, I think, almost 12 months. And so we're excited about this partnership. And the third partnership, for those of you that have paid attention to kind of changing demographic trends, is an opportunity for us to work with La Paz, to work with the Tennessee Small Business Development Center, which is housed really and tied to Chattanooga State Community College, and by creating a new position that will basically serve as a business navigator for small Latino-owned businesses. And so the idea is to make sure that as those entrepreneurs start their business, they're connected to our ecosystem. And so we think this partnership, which is still in formation, to be clear, I actually asked Stacy Johnson and Lynn Chestnut at Tennessee Small Business Development Center, hey, do you mind if I share this? But we think this is a critical path for us as an organization to make sure that we're really creating an opportunity for those entrepreneurs to connect in with our ecosystem. So those are 3 new partnerships we're working on today. We're excited about them. I'm going to share with you what's happening, what we've done over the last 5 years in executing our strategic plan. And I'll say that that plan, none of this happens, again, without partnerships. And so we've got a lot of elected officials in the room. They've invested significant public capital into a number of these things. They've invested their time and their effort. Our philanthropic partners have invested capital and time and strategy work, and our business community has been involved. And so we launched a 5-year strategic plan in 2019. I'm going to share with you some of the things that plan said and share with you a little bit of how we made that happen. And so one of the first things we said is that UTC needs a new health science center to help us with a growing talent pipeline, right? There is a desperate need for nurses in the community. We cannot produce enough right now. And so in 2019, we said that by investing in a new healthcare science center, that this would help create a pathway for us. And we sat down with Dr. Engel, with Dr. Ashford. We pulled the CEOs of the 3 major hospital systems together. And then we worked extensively with our state delegation. And so folks like Greg Vital were in the room, and folks like Bo Watson were in the room to help us with that. And in 2022, Governor Lee included a $55 million line item in his budget to help fund that. None of that happens without the state delegation, but also having the support of the business community and those CEOs from our hospital systems was critical to make this happen. I view this as a first phase. So our hope is that there's continued investment, particularly at UTC and Chat State, in our health sciences effort, because we desperately need to make sure that pipeline is viable. And we're thankful that we've got folks, frankly, in our state delegation that this is their business, not just as elected officials, but when they wake up every day. And so this is a great opportunity for us. We're very excited about the governor's investment in that. We also said in 2019 that more than 500 people leave incarceration every year. They return back to Hamilton County. And so we knew that this was going to be a critical component for us if we really wanted to focus on economic mobility. And when we did that, we also realized we needed a great partner. And so we identified one in an entity called Project Return, based in Nashville, Tennessee. They had one office, and we treated them like an economic development project. We recruited them to Chattanooga. We introduced them to a number of companies here, one of which, Southern Champion Tray, another McKee Foods, and a host of others. We're excited about the opportunity. And they opened their doors in the fall of 2021. Between 2022 and 2023, they worked with 400 ex-offenders to find full-time employment with benefits. So this is what economic mobility looks like. And without the business community coming in and being willing to hire those folks, it doesn't happen. So this is a great partnership with us, and we were excited to see it happen. We also said that we needed to embed workforce training centers and employers into low-income neighborhoods. And we had the opportunity to work with Leslie Gower with the Association of General Contractors, who said, we want to build a school. We're going to sell our office, and we're going to start a school. And so we worked with her to pull together a few partners, not the least of which was TCAT and Chattanooga State and Hamilton County Schools. And that started a bigger conversation that brought a lot of partners together. And we worked to raise about $10 million to invest in a new construction career center that is in East Chattanooga, one of our lowest income neighborhoods. We reinvested in a closed elementary school, the Mary Ann Garber School. We worked with the state and our delegation, again, huge partners in this. Hamilton County and the city of Chattanooga each put in $2 million to fund that. And then we raised another $4 million from our philanthropic partners and from you, from our private sector investors. And so there's a host of people in this room that have been involved in this project. The center opened its doors in 2022. This year in August, they had the largest class of high school students we had. So we're basically at capacity with about 100 students that are at juniors and seniors in high school. They're learning plumbing and mechanical and electrical skills. They're learning welding. And we have 50 additional students that are adult learners that are tied to Chat State and TCAT. This was a great partnership with us. We think this is a mechanism and an opportunity for us to really reinvent this and do this again in other industry sectors. And I'll talk a little bit about where we're headed with that over the next 5 years. And the last thing we said was we've got to have greenfield sites. We have to have real estate with viable sites for industry, for new job creation to happen. And we worked with the city and county incredibly hard on a couple of these. Today, 180 acres at Enterprise South have been cleared and are getting ready for industry. This is a big opportunity for us, and we hope to have a project announced there soon. So without that, it's very hard, frankly. We also worked with Hamilton County to acquire the 2,100-acre McDonald Farm for industry, and then with Mayor Wamp's administration to get a $3 million grant to provide water infrastructure. So again, another big project. And then, of course, we've got metrics around all of these things. And I'll leave you, I'm not gonna dig into them. I think Paul will probably mention a few, but I say we did pretty good, right? We exceeded our $1 billion goal for capital investment. We exceeded our goal around the number of diverse founders at the incubator, and we came pretty close to a number of others, particularly considering we did this through the global pandemic. So we got creative with the new strategic plan. We closed the books on that at the end of June, right, at our fiscal year. We got really creative with our new strategic plan, and we decided to go from Chattanooga Climbs to Chattanooga Climbs Higher. Yeah, that's right. This is why we hired Jeremy Henderson to help us with our creative work. Thank you, Jeremy. And so I'm going to share a little bit about how this kind of plan came together. But the first thing that we did was we went and asked a number of partners to invest in this plan, which they didn't know what it was going to say yet. And so Benwood Foundation, Chattanooga Gas, EPB, Pinnacle Financial, and TVA all invested with us to help hire Ernst & Young and really help us develop that plan. And we pulled a lot of folks together. We did a bunch of research. We formed a 60-person steering committee with a very diverse base of folks. We spent time interviewing leaders across the community in education and business and finance. And we surveyed more than 1,200 people across Hamilton County. We touched every zip code. And basically that research came back, and here's what it said. First, it said we're growing, but we're not growing as fast as some of our competitors. So we're not growing as fast as Huntsville. We're not growing as fast as Greenville. And it may feel like it, but the reality is between 2010 and 2020, we grew at less than 1% a year. The second thing it said is growth brings challenges. And anybody who lives in Appleton or Ottawa knows what that means, right? We've got some infrastructure work and challenges that are out there. Our stakeholders reinforce the importance of building a more inclusive economy. This is a county where black households earn 50% of white households. And so we know that that inclusive economy is critical for us, and we've got to invest in that. And we also know education and talent are top concerns for the business community. And so making sure that there's more and more opportunities to grow and create new talent pipelines is critical. And while we've got all of those challenges, we know there are tremendous opportunities ahead. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit of the structure of the plan and a few big things we want to accomplish over the next 5 years. First is there's three main pillars for this plan. The first is economic growth. And for those of you that remember Chattanooga in 1970s and 1980s, we were losing population. If we are not growing, we are dying. So we know growth is important. Education and talent sit at the center of this plan. And then technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship are the third pillar. And for us, part of that is going to be supporting UTC in growing research and growing their engineering capacity at the university. Those are critical for us as we think about economic opportunities in the community. And all this is underscored by three key principles, three guiding principles for our organization. The first is economic mobility. And what that means is we want the rungs on the economic ladder to be close together, right? So people can move up. The second is economic inclusion. We don't care where you live, what you look like, the economy should work for you. And the third is really the legacy that Chattanooga brings around collaboration and having collaborative leaders at the table. So that's what we're going to build this around. We're excited about it, and we've got a few things we're going to focus on. First and foremost for us is air service. We cannot be successful in attracting and growing white-collar jobs without more direct connectivity to the rest of the world. And so this is a huge priority for us. April Cameron is on our board. We've been working with her and her team to grow this. We're super excited that New York service will be coming back next month. That is a big deal. We had a letter from 20 CEOs in the community that combined have flown more than 13 million miles on Delta, requesting Delta to bring that service back. And Mayor Kelly is supporting this. He's putting great business leaders on the airport board, not the least of which is Rick McKinney, the CEO of Unum. And so for us, this is going to be a big priority, and here's how you can help. The biggest thing you can do is the next time you go to buy an airplane ticket, I'd like you to take into account how much time you're investing if you drive to Atlanta or Nashville versus getting on a plane in Chattanooga. Because the reality is, if you're counting the cost of your time and your employees' time, then it starts to make a lot more sense to fly in and out of Chattanooga. And the more people that do that, the more direct flights we get. Second big focus for us is really going to be investing in our entrepreneurial ecosystem and our entrepreneurial assets. I want to thank Mayor Wamp and the County Commission. Just about a month ago, they committed to invest more than $5 million in this facility. And so we know that's a great first step for us. We think this is a legacy program. We've had phenomenal companies that have come out of this, Coolometrics, Branch Technologies, Variable Technology. So we've had some great companies come out of this, and we know that this program needs to be invested in and built upon. And we know there's opportunity for additional partnerships with folks like CoLab. So this is another big strategy for us. The next is we need tools to be successful. And so if we think about growing a diverse economy, we've done a great job at leveraging tax increment financing over the last few years and pilots, which help us grow capital-intensive industries. But we don't really have tools for white-collar jobs. And so Nashville, as an example, used an incentive program to recruit Alliance Bernstein and Phillips that provides $1,000 per job per year for 7 years to those companies. And so we just don't have a tool for that, and we know we need to develop tools for that. We do need to continue to utilize things like TIFs and pilots. Tax increment financing is playing a critical role in One West Side and what's going to happen at the Bend and what's going to happen with our oldest public housing site. But we've also got to be strategic around making sure we're building really a diverse market. We need to continue to remove barriers for employment. We think our partnership and work with Chattanooga 2.0 and building out career pathways is critical, and so we know there's opportunity with that, and to the mayor's point earlier, we know there's a tremendous amount of opportunity at the Gateway site. And so we do hope that our employers, the folks in this room, will work with the mayor and Hamilton County Schools to really make that and bring that into reality. And then I'll share a little bit more about our need to kind of grow more space for industry. And I'm going to talk about this in two ways. One is we work with a site selection consultant who has a standard phrase, he's actually trademarked it, which is no product, no project. And what that basically means is if we don't have a site, if we don't have real estate options that are zoned, that have infrastructure, that are ready to go, you don't get a project. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I'd say is we have more than half a dozen manufacturing companies in Hamilton County that are landlocked. They don't have room to grow. And the reality is, just like this community needs to grow, they have to grow. And if they don't have room to grow in Chattanooga or Hamilton County, they're going to grow somewhere else. So we know we need to continue to invest in this. We think there's still opportunity at Enterprise South. We think there's great opportunity with McDonald Farm and others. So this is going to be, for us, a continued focus. This takes a long time for those of you that are familiar with the legacy of Enterprise South. But it is definitely a critical path for us. So I'm gonna run through a few metrics. I won't touch on all of them. The big one here that I kind of want to go back to is our airport. So our goal is to add 5 new direct flights over the next 5 years at Chattanooga Airport. We also have increased our goals for capital investment and for wages. And then we've kept our goal for announced jobs the same, and we've really done that mainly because, frankly, it's a low unemployment environment, and it's pretty challenging from that standpoint. 2 items I want to specifically talk about with workforce and talent. The first is we're going to work with Chattanooga 2.0 to create 10 new career pathways. We launched one over the summer. We had a graduation actually at Chat State around welding. There's another one that's tied to the linemen's program, Southern Lineman Center. Both EPB and TVA are engaged in that. And so we know we've got to add more pathways, and we need corporate partners to do that. And the second is we want 10 corporate partnerships with education institutions. That can, to the mayor's point earlier, that can be with future-ready institutes that happen in our high schools, but it can also be with our entities like UTC, Chattanooga State, and even our private schools in the region. So if you think about folks like Southern Adventist. So those are going to be big focuses for us. And then from an entrepreneurial standpoint, we want to see 75 new companies come into the incubator. We want to see at least 20 of those be led by diverse founders. And so that's a doubling of our goal that we had last time. We want to retain 10 Brickyard companies over the next 5 years. And those are venture-backed companies with great opportunities for growth. And we want to support at least 100 companies that are minority or women-led. And so those are our goals over the next 5 years. I am excited to be able to lead the chamber at this time. I think it's an incredible opportunity, and I think we've got a great team and the right team to do it. Really want to thank you for helping invest in that work and be a part of that work. There again, none of this happens because the chamber does it. It all happens because we have great partners. And so I just want to thank you for that. And I'm going to ask Paul Leith to come up to the stage. Paul is our outgoing chair, and you're about to hear from Paul. I will say after Paul, you'll hear from Jay Dale. And I want to mention one thing. So both of their companies, or their predecessors of their companies, have been chamber members for more than 100 years. So we have about 40 companies that have been chamber members for more than 100 years. And so Chattanooga Gas is one of those. First Horizon or its predecessors were before that. And so I want to thank both Paul and Jay for the commitment their companies have made in our organization. And I want to thank Paul for the last year and for helping us through all of that. So thanks, Paul. Thanks, Charles.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to stand before you and reflect on my time as chair of the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce. The past year has been filled with remarkable achievements, meaningful contributions, and invaluable lessons. I'm incredibly proud of the work we as a chamber have achieved with the South Broad development and the Bend projects. These multi-billion-dollar developments, when complete, will transform our community and set a new standard for urban development and revitalization. The South Broad development will bring new life to an area that's been overlooked, creating opportunities for businesses and residents alike. We will soon have a beautiful gateway on the western side of our city. Similarly, the Bend is poised to become a vibrant high hub for innovation and collaboration, attracting talent and investment in our region. Another significant milestone during my tenure has been the successful onboarding of our CEO, Charles Wood. This transition was crucial for the Chamber's continued growth and success. Charles brings a wealth of experience and a fresh perspective, and I'm confident that the Chamber will reach new heights under his leadership. In addition, Charles filled his primary staff position with very talented and competent executives. The Chamber has an amazing staff that works very hard to support all 1,863 members. Let's give them a round of applause for their amazing work. Thank you. During my time serving as an officer, the economic development team has worked tirelessly to successfully announce more than 4,000 jobs, including projects by iFixit, Westar Aviation, Nippon Paint, and expansions from McKee Foods and Southern Champion Tray. These accomplishments are a testament to the Chamber's commitment to fostering economic growth and creating opportunities for everyone in our community. One of the most important lessons I've learned serving as chair is the power of collaboration. None of our achievements would have been possible without the collective efforts of our board members, our elected officials, our community partners, and you, our amazing chamber members. We have demonstrated when we work together, we can overcome challenges and achieve great things. This is the Chattanooga way. Will all current board and past board members please stand up? Come on, stand up. Thank you all. Your hard work has moved our community forward, and you all have done an amazing job. As I pass the torch to the next chair, I'm filled with optimism the Chamber's future. There's no doubt that we'll continue our success in building a thriving region that will benefit all Chattanoogans. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my family here today and my team from Chattanooga Gas. Without your support, I couldn't do everything I do and serve the Chamber and the community. Love you guys. Thank you. Finally, I want to thank all of you for your commitment and dedication to the Chamber. It's been a true honor to be the chair of the Chamber. Thank you all so much. And I now want to invite our board chair and my good friend, Jay Dale, to the stage. Let's have it for Jay.
You didn't think we'd let you get away too easily, did you?
Not yet.
I do want to say on behalf of the board, the chamber staff, and really all the community, how much we appreciate your leadership this past year. You mentioned so many of the accomplishments, the economic development projects, and they're so important to the vibrance of Chattanooga. And those that know Paul, he's such a positive, optimistic person and leader, and he would often start every chamber meeting, I don't know if he does this in all meetings, he would often say, today's a great day in Chattanooga. And I will say Chattanooga is greater because of your leadership, so thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. There we go.
Got a little character by a local artist with some of his passion of golf, some of the accomplishments, airplane. And this is some special Chattanooga whiskey, which is really hard for me to give up.
I know.
For those that know me, so.
Thank you so much, my friend. Good luck, brother. God bless you.
All right, so they asked me to say just a few words, and I thought it'd be helpful if I tell you just a little bit about me. For those that I haven't met, I'm Jay Dale. I'm the market president of First Horizon Bank, and I love Chattanooga. Like, I'm obnoxiously one of those Chattanoogans that every time we go somewhere on vacation, and my wife Cynthia's here, she'll know that I will corner somebody and tell them why they need to visit Chattanooga. I moved here in 5th grade. If I could have driven as an elementary kid student, I would have gotten here faster. But I've lived all over Chattanooga. I started off in Middle Valley. I've lived in Big Ridge, Signal Mountain, downtown, and now we live in Ottawa and East Brainerd. Went to Red Bank High School, go Lions. Went to UTC undergrad and graduate, and met my wife there, and my 2 daughters graduated there, so go Mocs. And over that time, I've seen firsthand the importance of economic development can have on a community's prosperity. Hamilton Place Mall, I remember when that was just woods. for those that have been in Chattanooga for a long time. The Tennessee Aquarium, the impact that's had on downtown. I remember Volkswagen, when it was being, the ground and the woods were being taken out to prepare for some development, which turned out to be Volkswagen. And in those 30 years, I can tell you in my banking career in Chattanooga that the economy is as strong as ever. I really believe that. Our longtime businesses and manufacturers, we mentioned like McKee Foods and Southern Champion Tray, they continue to bet on Chattanooga and expand. And we know how vibrant our Chattanooga tourism industry is. We've got the Ironman this weekend. And maybe that's due to, because I keep telling people to come to Chattanooga, so I'm trying to help out the tourism there. And now today, we've got some multi-generational economic projects. I mean, the Southside Lookouts project is going to change the entrance to Chattanooga, the front doorstep to our community. It's going to have $1 to $2 billion in economic impact. The West Side project, the Bend, $2 to $4 billion. McDonald Farm is just getting going. I may have just fudged those numbers. Maybe it's smaller than that, but those sounded pretty good. But I'm proud to say the Chamber has played a key role in all those projects. And with Charles' leadership, the Chamber is also playing an active part in some of our community, I would call good growth challenges. Discussions around affordable housing, talent and workforce development, affordable childcare. Mayor Wamp spoke about some of these, ensuring economic ability for all Chattanoogans. And I know the Chamber is going to achieve those, work to be a part of those conversations. I'd also like to take this opportunity to encourage any businesses here that aren't a Chamber member yet. Please consider joining the Chamber, both for the value you'll get, the resources, the programs, but also because I believe that all boats rise with the rising tide. So an investment in the Chamber is an investment in Chattanooga and economic growth for our city. And lastly, I would say there's some big shoes to fill. Paul and our past chair table back there, I couldn't be more excited to be in this role, serve how I can. If you've got feedback for me or any of the other board members that just stood up, please let us know or let the staff know. And I believe the future is very bright in Chattanooga. I want to thank again everyone for attending today's meeting. Thanks again to all our great partners and sponsors. And I want to invite you to one more event. Join us for our next signature event, the Open House, on December 11th. Hard to believe Christmas is getting that close. December 11th from 5 to 8 at the Chamber. And that's it. Everybody have a great day. Have a great Chattanooga day.